promised a million miles of fun. I know it's all for me. If you still essential, making sure I'm not in too deep. If you still essential, keep bursting on my feet. If you still essential.
Check, come here. Wow, look at her. I know. I've never seen Sharon look so bad before. I did once before, but this is pretty bad. Yeah, what do you think she got up to last night? Sharon,
I'm sliding on the bench, sliding hard across the street. LATV that beat. My sticky palms really make the straws out of big Australian trees. Incredibly heat. Now the funny where they leave me there and staring on me. Involved in unusual feet. And I'm not only one, but I invite you I wanna come. So I missed a million miles of fun. I know it's up for me. If you still essential, making sure I'm not in too deep. If you still essential, keep bursting on my feet. If you still essential. I know it's done for me. If you still essential, not something hard to see. If you still essential, keep it dumb and built to beat. If you still essential.
To the beat, yo, rock, to the beat, yo, and you don't stop, rock, the beat, yo, rock, to the beat, yo, and you don't stop, rock, to the beat, yo, rock.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here at the 2020 Sarasota Improv Festival. My name is Will Luera. I'm the Director of Improvisation here at Florida Studio Theater. And hope you, for those of you who have been joining us today, hope you've been having a good time. We've had a couple of workshops today. And we had a workshop with Terry DeFrancisco and Rance Rizzuto from the Nest Theater in Columbus, Ohio, followed by a workshop with Joe Bill. Then we had our first show of the night, a first opening with a duo with Joe Bill and Charles Gooch, and then the premiere of a brand new group, There Goes the Neighborhood. We all met virtually. And now we're performing together. We performed together for the first time, so that was very exciting. Now, because we couldn't have a full performance schedule this year, we decided to try a little something a little different. I wanted to do some improv interviews with some of our past our past alum from the festival, some folks that have visited us before and who are very knowledgeable in the field. Now, some of the topics that we'll be discussing this weekend with some of our guests will be surprise topics, but other ones are very specific to the strengths of our guests, and this one is one of those. Now, before we get into the topic, I'd like to welcome our guest to the Zoom stage. So let's hear it for Madi Goff. All right, Madi. Yes, hello.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Oh, no, thank you so much for being here. How are things?
They're pretty great. They're a little warm over here in LA,
Hmm.
but considering the situation, they're good.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And of course, it's great to see you again. And you've visited us, I think, twice, right here in Sarasota.
Yes, Twilight Zone, I think, and then Tennessee Williams last year.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And
Oh, they were so fun. I love your theater. I love your audiences. I can't wait till
mhm.
we're all in the same room at the same time again. But that was such a fun show.
And Improv Theater continues to be like one of our favorite acts to bring back to welcome to the Sarasota Improv Festival. So we definitely look forward to having you back as well. And so now your topic today, we're going to be talking about improv over Zoom.
Hmm.
Right now, uh, I guess I'll begin by saying that like I will be honest, I was very skeptical at the beginning. I think part of it was me missing the stage, so it might have been like just a very personal, emotional thing. But I did like the first few shows that I watched and did. I just couldn't get it. But now I forget what show it was. I think it was a show I did with the Magnet Theater in New York, where
Oh, yes.
something clicked for me.
Hmm.
It was like, wow, this is fun. I had a lot of fun in this show, and then I went back to watch it. I'm like, that was fun to watch. And then that was like 2.5 months ago. And since then, I feel like I've learned to process it and digest it as an audience member. I've learned how to perform in it because it is different,
It's
right?
different.
Yeah, and I think audiences are learning now how to digest it. Or I don't know. I mean, I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say about all of this.
I have a question for you, Will. When you
Yeah.
performed with the magnet, did you perform, how did they stream it? Did they do Zoom? Did they do Twitch, Facebook? What did they do?
They did. So they're the first group that introduced us to the whole idea of OBS.
Oh, we
Uh,
have OBS too. Yeah.
Okay. So I
Open
had no
broadcast.
idea. Yes, so I had no idea that was a thing until they
Hmm.
told me about it. Because I remember them saying like, "Oh yeah, we're on multiple things right now."
Yeah.
Yes. So I thought that was really neat. And I think
One
yeah.
of
So we
the
all
one
like went into Zoom.
one
Oh, I'm
of the
sorry. Go
little
ahead.
stealthy benefits of being forced to go to Zoom is now the audience can be unlimited. You know, it's huge.
Yeah. No. Yeah. And
It's
it's.
definitely more difficult, but that audience can be, 5,000 people. You know, your
Mm-hmm.
theater is unlimited in its capacity.
And it's pretty. Yeah. It's pretty amazing how like the number of creative projects that have come out of this.
Hmm.
I find myself so busy right now. I mean, there was one weekend where I'm like hopping, doing workshops in Colombia, Russia,
Yeah.
LA, and
Mhm.
Sarasota.
Yep.
uh, yeah. But there's still I could still find I still find myself learning, and I sense the technology also kind of evolving, getting better, etc. So yeah, I'm really learning to have fun with it now. And like the show that I just did right before you, like that was I'm like I can't imagine having that much fun a couple of months ago. That was
Right.
a lot of fun.
Right. Right, because it was so fresh. You know, we got cut
Yeah.
off from our theaters in a snap. It was so fresh. That show was so delightful. The play was so palpable in that show. It was so much fun. I also love the Ninja Turtles, so as soon as they came up, I was like, "Oh man, I'm sold."
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Cool. So what are some of your suggestions, tips, or
Right.
what can we do better over this
Yeah,
over
no,
Zoom?
all of this is such good questions. So I thought when you were like pitching this to me, I was like, oh, this is fun because this is kind of a cross section of specialties that I have. Because even in the first time when I came to Sarasota, I actually teched the improv
That's
shows,
right. Yep.
and I was like in with the tech then, and then the second time I performed in them. And so when you're at home now, you're having to tech and perform for yourself. So those of us who are technical improvisers, at least for all I can speak to, this is good for people to know, all I can speak to is long form narrative improv. And I've done a few sort of scenelets with friends on a show that I have called the Madi Goff Show. And it's on Thursday nights and it's on Twitch. They stream to Twitch using OBS. And on what's the channel? Outpost 13 is the name of the channel. And what I've done on that one is I've done mainly long form narrative, but a couple of improvised scenes with genre overlays. Like last night, my guest was Marian Yusufu, and we did buddy sitcom scene. We did a post-apocalyptic scene, and then a rom-com scene. And then we got to ask the chat, which one do you want to go back to? And we went back to the post-apocalyptic scene, which was Mother Nature battling Satan. It was very epic. But I can speak to that. So that's what I'll speak to in all of this. Okay.
That sounds great.
So I was thinking I would just tell you what my setup looks like, and we could just start from there.
Okay.
Okay. So I have this really cool Apogee mic that's plugged in USB to my computer. This is a laptop. I've got 2 soft boxes because I'm an LA actor and we have to do self-tapes. Oh, here, I'll show you this. And so I have this blue screen behind me that is my self-tape wall. It's literally just a blue screen, and I can drop anything behind me. And then a ring light to help light up the face. And my computer is on an arrangement of furniture, piling it up to eye level. It's very messy if you looked at it. And then something I think is interesting that I've kind of brought in, because I love film, right? That's why I'm in LA. I love camera angles and positioning each other. So something that I've brought into all mine is I put little X's on Post-it notes, and I set them up next to my camera. I could, maybe I could like text a picture to myself and screen share it. Oh, you know what I can do? Oh my gosh, this is going to be my little tech brain. So here you can see my setup. Can you see these? Let's see.
I can't see those X's. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the camera, right? Boop. That's the camera. And then I have really close to it these 2 X's, and there's a third one over there. I don't know if you can read that. It's a Williams line of poetry upside down. But I've got these X's right here, and what those X's are for me is they're my eye lines. So what's so interesting is I'm talking to camera here, and then I look at one of the X's, and I'm now positioned in screen to do a scene with someone. Obviously, I'm not looking at you, so it is difficult, right? You're improvising in the way that you would if you were in a movie with a ton of CGI to an X on a tennis ball, right?
Okay.
And so I'm just improvising to this. And then I teach anybody who comes on my show, I teach them how to, Joe Bill's in the audience, and I know he's going to be on my show in August at some point. So I'm not teaching all this, but I teach whoever comes, we meet like an hour beforehand, and I teach them how to do the camera angles with me so that when we have our editor cutting back and forth between me and the other improviser, we look like we're in a scene together. We look like we're a filmed television scene. And one of the things in TV is if I have these 2 people, right, and they're talking to each other, I want to have a camera on this one pointing that way, and then I want to have a camera on this one pointing that way, right? And then in the scene, you just flip from this camera to this camera, catching this person and this person, right? And that's what this mirrors. It sounds complicated, but it's totally not. I promise, Joe.
Oh no, I mean, I think that's genius. And it's such a simple
Totally
simple
simple,
solution
right?
for this problem. Yeah, that's great. Now, another thing that jumped out at me was like just the difference that a blue screen makes. Like, obviously, I'm getting lost in my virtual background, but like you're totally clear. I could see through the curls in your hair.
Which curls are difficult, right?
Yeah.
You know what? Also, this is also about the lighting. I've got a softbox, and a ring light, so I am lit up. So it's definitely about the lighting. But what I also love is it allows me to do really silly, low budget effects like this. So we use this a lot in our space show. When we did a space show at Improv, I'd be like, all right, Captain, I'll go look out the window. Well, good. And I'm like, I have no space here. I have less than 3 feet, but I'm turning around, starting real close to the camera, and then just bouncing a lot and making myself shorter.
Yeah.
Oh, budget effects are delightful.
Oh, that has been the whole virtual background thing has been something that I've been having a lot of fun with, and Yeah, I've been just setting up scenes and all that. Like if I'm off stage, if I'm off the Zoom stage, and I'm already sort of brainstorming what my next scene's going to be,
What's
I'm
your
I'm
background?
googling and I'm getting a bunch of things together
Uh-huh.
to have
Yeah.
fun with that.
Hmm.
Okay, cool. So the lights, yeah, I love the X because the X's are, as you were showing me that, I was like, how often when I look back at recordings of myself, like just to see my eye line and my eye levels, I'm like, I'm totally off. But that would be such a simple thing, and it's like
It's
in
a
a live
simple thing.
theater, like in a
Right.
live theater when they put the whatchamacallit, it's the lights, right?
Yep. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you all agree on an eye line. And what's so interesting too is they're a lot closer to the camera than you realize. And from doing film work, I've known this, but it's you would think like I'm so close to the camera in this eye
Hmm.
line, but it actually kind of works. Whereas if I even looked a foot off of camera, it looks like I'm looking way, 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 way over
Yeah.
there. You have to
Right.
stay pretty close. You saw how close my X's were. And then the
Uh-huh.
other thing that I did, I do this show in the Madi Goff show
Uh-huh.
where it's close to like Fleabag, where I'll have I'll have two ladies. It's usually a lady that I'll have come on and be the lead, and then I'll play all of her family members. And I think I have one of those videos up on my YouTube channel. But I'll play all of her family members because I have a ton of wigs. And I will have her look at me, and if any point in time during the scene the editor cuts to her, she can look to the camera and do a look and then go back in the scene. And it's so fun. And what I've done for that one is I can show you again here. So, wait, is this working? How does this? Okay, reverse. Okay, so see the little, how we have the little this little thing right up here, it's this little boxes where when I
Yes.
pin your video, I'll put your face right next to the camera, right? So if
Hmm.
I wanted to look at the other improviser, I'm actually looking at you, but it is pretty close to camera. Camera's there and looking at you. And that's another thing you can do just to cheat it if you're playing a scene straight on, is put the
Hmm.
tiny little box of the person right under your camera. And you
Uh-huh.
can, does that make sense?
It does. So that so that's out of because I feel like a lot of times I find myself putting it in gallery view,
Right.
like as
And
a convenient way to do
right.
this. But you're
Diffuse.
saying the
It's
other
a
way, right?
Yeah, if it's a two-person scene, you can pin your speaker. You'll have them real big, but
Hmm.
here I would be looking at you if you're pinned as a speaker, but I can
Yeah.
then take those two little boxes and push them up to here, and now I'm looking at you in that tiny little box, and my
Oh,
eye
look
line
at
is way
you.
better, right?
There you are. Yeah,
This,
I'm doing it right now. Yes, I just did
yeah.
what you're
Oh, good.
suggesting.
Yeah. Look at that. And that's just for two-person scenes. I mean, I guess if I had a three-person scene, I could split the diff and you could be
Yeah.
there and the other person could be there in those little
Hmm.
boxes. It is hard to stay focused on those little boxes, especially when the person is also big right here.
Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
But this
But
eyeline is so much better.
do you just get used to it over time though? Like because yeah, you're right. I want to look at the big U,
Uh-huh.
right, and the little
Right?
U and big U. But I
Right?
guess over time I get used to just
Looking
looking
at the
at
little
little
U.
U.
You
Yeah.
can also I'm used to it now, but for a little while I was taking a piece of paper and dropping it over big U, so it's not even an
Oh.
option.
Oh wow. Okay. Hold on. Now I'm looking for a piece of paper. So
Yeah, right?
cover big U. All
Cover
right.
big
Hold on.
me. So then you just have little me.
Gotcha. Oh, okay. I see. Oh yes. Okay.
So now your
Ah,
focus is kind of directed. It
such
still
simple
sucks because it
tricks.
is such a tiny image. I wonder if you can
Yeah.
make those image right. Yeah, you can really. But it
Hmm.
works, you know?
And I think part of the difficulty also is that like Zoom and isn't really, and I don't know if they have any intention of like adjust. It's not for performance. It's for
Right.
offices. It's for
Yeah.
we're the ones who are retrofitting it to what we need,
Right.
right?
And haven't we always done that for everything? Like,
Yeah,
our upstairs, loft of a theater is now a
yeah,
theater where it was like before it's supposed to be a clothing store.
right, right.
That's just so
Uh, yeah, yeah. Like I found myself like when I learned the trick of how to fake a circle in a Zoom room, right? With the numbers,
hmm.
right? That number trick. I'm like, oh, that is great. Like,
Yeah.
and you start to get used to it, and it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Wait, tell me that, Will, faking the circle. I don't know if I know that one.
So fake the circle. So like, if you have a group of like, say more than 5 or 6 people,
Yeah.
what I tend to do is I'll, and I'm going to do this right now.
Okay.
So I will make myself zero as the coach of the group.
Okay.
and then I will
Can I
go in
make
and I'll
myself
make,
one?
or yeah, either you could do it or I could do it like that, like so,
Okay, great.
and then if there was another person, I'd make them two, three, four, and
Right.
then that starts to just give us the idea of like there's a circle beginning with me at 0,
Yeah.
and then it goes all the way around. So if we're doing like a zip tap top, whatever, some sort of circle warm up game,
Awesome.
and then you kind of just you pretend that that's the order,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then by making myself 0, it makes it easy for me to pull out, right? So then I'm just like,
Yeah.
hey everybody, I'm just going to observe right now, so just forget the 0 and just go 1 through 10 or
Right.
whatever, and
Oh, that's
it
good.
and they'll play. I've
Good.
seen. I mean, they'll play Whiz Bang. They'll play all the games that we know.
Yeah. You
Doing
have my
numbers.
brain like on full speed right now, thinking like, okay, say we had someone in Russia, you in Florida, me in LA, and someone in the UAE, and we were
Mhm.
like, let's do as if we're sitting at a table, and like, can we get the eye lines to where like I know Will is there, I know where everybody is and can match those eye lines. That would be I actually kind of have a small plan that I'm gonna hatch after this. But I was like, if we're like, okay, if 0 is north, so wherever north is for you, I don't know. This is insane. Face your camera east, and 0 is no. Okay,
I love to
I will figure this out, and I will email you, Will, with the
love
answer.
it. I love to hear you. It was fun hearing you think through that. We do it. We did have a question come in here.
Oh, fun.
Green versus blue screen.
Depends on what kind of clothing you have. My eyes are green, so my eyes would trip out with a green screen. So
Oh,
it depends on the clothing. Also, as an actor, it's cooler to have a blue screen for auditions. So I just got one that could do for both. But a green, I actually do, actually do also have a green screen, but I just leave my blue up. But that's a great question.
yeah.
I'm sure there are other people who have more technological answers to all of it. But I
Hmm.
just know for my eyes, I need a blue screen. And like Carrie Coleman, who's in the main company of Improv Theater, had a blue screen and she has blue eyes and her eyes were going insane. So she had to switch to a green
Oh
or
wow.
or
Okay.
just embrace the insanity of her eyes, which she did do in a show brilliantly. Yeah.
Oh, so tell me a little bit more about the Maddie Goff show. So you talked a little
Oh,
bit about it.
it is so fun. It took a lot of cajoling and support from friends to say to do it because that's always scary to put your name on something and out
Sure.
there. But it's like it's on Twitch, 5 to 50 people watch it. It's so low key. I would love it if people kept watching it. So y'all come check it out. It's on Outpost 13 on Twitch. And it's
Okay.
basically what I'll do is if it's the guest's first time, a lot of the times I'll do 3 different genres with them. We pick the genres, they're literally anything. And then the
Okay.
fourth scene, we just repeat one of the genres. And in between the scenes, I'll just interview them about who they are because I love asking people questions
Mm.
and prying in and discovering who they are. So I'll interview them and then we'll do a wacky scene. I have a ton of wigs, so I've just been
Mhm.
making a mess of my living room with wigs and wig changes.
I do
And
have one of my performers here has just like you has a ton of wigs, and we were doing during the height of lockdown. We would be doing I don't know if you know the short form game radio call in,
hmm
right?
Yeah.
And so we would be doing it as a long form,
Mm,
like a 30 minute
radio
set,
show. Yeah.
like a radio show. And she
Yeah.
would be she had so many every week. She came out with a different wig and a different character, and it was just so amazing.
It's so fun and they transform. So people with big foreheads, we're really lucky because we look great in wigs. And so if you have a big forehead, just go buy a whole ton of wigs because they transform your face. You just look
Yeah,
totally different and it's such a joy too because you look at yourself and a character falls out.
yeah. Oh, now I got another question. This came in:
Okay.
is side lighting best?
Hmm. That's a good question. I think the most important lighting is to light your background. Have your background lit and then get one on your face. I don't know that like side lighting is so cool in like a theater because
Hmm.
you can take out the front and do this like just badass sort of side light. Man, anybody just watch Hamilton on Disney Plus right now.
Hmm.
They use some really cool side light and top light
Hmm.
and backlight. But for this format, I think and I'm totally willing to be educated by somebody who knows more about light than I do. But I think the front light is the most important, and I do think front light is the most important. Get your face lit up, and then light up your screen, and light
Okay.
them up separately, right?
So the two boxes that you have now,
Hmm.
are they, is one lighting,
They're
how's
both
that?
hitting the screen.
They're both hitting the
They're
screen.
both hitting
Okay.
the screen. Because if they were hitting me, then I'm gonna throw a shadow on the screen. I don't know if,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I'm not throwing any shadows on it. I'm gonna throw a shadow on the screen, and then that shadow is gonna like blip out. Like if I pull
Got
this
it.
out, maybe a shadow will be created. No, it's well lit. Good job.
Good job, Maddie.
They're doing their work. Yeah.
Very cool.
Oh,
Now,
no.
I do want to say that you mentioned earlier that how you were the tech for the first time that you guys came here,
Mhm.
and I need to say that you specifically like kind of changed just the tech culture, the improv tech culture, like just like your presence that one year, like we just saw what you did and like how involved you were,
Yeah.
and we were like, that's what we should
Uh,
all be. Like the way you were what you were doing on that stage from the booth was great, and it inspired our stage managers that came in that watched it, and then that has stayed within the culture of our techies. So that was great.
what was the name of that stage manager? Because I remember, I think I met everybody.
Oh, you did, and I
I
can't
can't
remember her
remember. No, I'm not gonna put
name.
you on the spot. I don't remember either. I don't
Yeah.
remember. But that it was so fun, and I remember your stage managers both times because I got to
Hmm.
interact with one the other time, and just I have a soft spot for techs. I love techs, and obviously techs are wildly underrated, right?
Yeah.
And of course, because the point of a tech, when I teach my tech workshops here, the point of the tech is to not get caught. Do not be seen. Do the work, add, supplement, boost, but don't get caught. Because as soon as you get
Yeah.
caught, then it's too much, right? Which
Okay.
is amazing. And of course, people will have the thought of like, improvisers will have the thought of like, oh shit, that was the tech. Oh, can I curse? I just cursed. Okay.
Yes, you can. It's the 10 o'clock show.
Good. Oh, that's right. The improvisers in the audience will be like, "Oh shit, that was the tech. That was awesome. That telephone ring
Yeah.
was on point." But the audience members just go, "Oh, they pushed Q7, which is supposed to happen at minute
Yeah.
42." I'm like, so
So
yeah, I love techs.
now you just said something that I don't know how many theaters actually do this. So you just said when I train the techs or when I teach the
Mm-hmm.
techs. So that must be and I'm assuming this is for improv theater.
Yes. Hmm.
So that must be a big deal then. I mean, I think a lot of times, for most improv theaters, I know it's like, okay, you shadow that tech, and then that tech shadows you, and then now you're off,
Right.
right? But it sounds from what you just described, it's a bit more of a
It's
process
involved.
for you guys. Okay.
It's an art, for us, and a lot of people take a lot of pride, and there are some good techs. And then everybody has different specialties. So for the Madi Goff show, for Zoom, I have an editor, and that person is on Zoom just spotlighting people back and forth,
Hmm.
right? And then I have two musicians who are one is running OBS while at the same time playing a number of instruments that he has laid about his house, and the other one is also playing instruments. They actually do a show together on the Twitch channel Outpost 13 called Made Up Music, where they will interact with the chat and make up a piece of music. And if you're a musician, you can play something and record it and send it into them. They'll add it to their song and they post it on Bandcamp. It's so rad. These two guys do the music for my show, which is a whole nother level of tech that I don't know, which is live
Right.
score.
Wow.
It's insane. Yeah, it's really cool.
So we gotta get the link up for your show. We definitely have to get that up and
Yeah, I'll send it
uh,
to you. I'll send it to you.
yeah, and I'll make sure to post it with your video.
Yeah.
Cool. Now we do have and I'll go back to the impact that Improv Theater has had in our community. I mean, there's one specific group, a house team here, that has almost been purely inspired by Improv Theater.
Oh,
They're called
awesome.
they're called Impromptu,
Oh,
and I
they
think
trained with us.
yes, exactly. They went
Yeah.
out. They went out and they did. I remember they took like a 24-hour trip or something. Something a ridiculously short trip to do a show out there. And
Mhm.
I mean, and they brought Lisa Fredrickson
Yep.
out here to train with her, and so they're a great group. They're one of my favorite house teams here in Sarasota, and they specialize in this post World War II
Noir.
genre.
Yes.
Yeah, right. It's like a
Passion.
historic. Yeah. Oh, and I really enjoy their work, and I'm glad of all of our house teams. I mean, they're just getting a lot of work, and all of that is to say that the impact that you guys have had here with your genre work, which then leads me to my question. I'm
Yeah.
slowly getting there.
I love it.
Yeah. What are your favorite genres?
Oh, oh, this is a hard question. Um, oh man, different genres for different reasons. And
Mhm,
usually I just use because my mind immediately went to the genre I'm doing most right now. And
mhm.
it always does that. If I'm in Shakespeare, I'm like, oh, Shakespeare, without a doubt. If I'm in
Yeah.
Dickens, Dickens, without a doubt. Noir, no, it's always the genre I'm currently in. I would say right now, because I'm currently doing it, it's this kind of modern lady show. That's not the title. It's a joke title, but it's basically Fleabag, and I'm
Okay.
basically playing everybody's family members or coworkers, friends, relatives, and I have a co-star, a person also on my show that's doing the cuts to camera and then monologuing at camera. And there's a really good version of it that Lisette did, and I'm gonna put another one up, I think this week, that my friend Leanna did, that they were the Fleabag character. If you haven't seen Fleabag, it's really great. It's about modern women with all their just junk out to display.
Hmm.
You know, not trying to be prissy or perfect, but just letting it all hang out. And honesty and that connection, because it's working on Zoom, is that little connection with the audience, that little difference of, if I'm connecting with you and then I look up at the audience and I give them a little look. There's that little like, oh, she sees me.
Yeah.
And for those that have seen Fleabag, you know the feeling, and it's fun. And the genre isn't Fleabag. We just use a style of connecting with the audience very similar to
Hmm.
what Phoebe Waller-Bridge does in that show. That is
Okay.
my favorite genre right now, but it's gonna change in 3 minutes, so we could just
Now,
hang around.
yes, you're getting a lot of Fleabag comments. Now,
Oh, really?
yes, a lot of people that are fans of the show.
It's a
What
great
did you
show.
call it? Modern lady is what you called it. That's like a
Oh,
working
it's called
genre.
the Modern Lady Show right now, but I think that's just because my friend Erin one time commented in the chat, which that is like something that's really cool about improvising on Twitch is that you can go back and watch the show. I to be honest, I don't watch all of them that thoroughly.
Hmm.
Um, because when I get something and I go, okay, that's the next thing I want to work on, I will allow myself to put it away. Otherwise, like a painter who just sees the cracks, you'll go crazy.
Right,
So,
right.
but I saw the chat, I think it was Aaron who said or we improvised, and I didn't know the title. I was like, oh, it's like the Modern Lady Show. The name that I wanted to call it is not even appropriate to say at 10 o'clock at night. But it was just a bunch of foul names for women all strung together, blanks, blanks, and blanks. But my mom was like, I don't think that's going to be very attractive to the audience that I know you can draw for it. And she's right, right? And a bunch of my friends who I pitched it to immediately went, oh,
Oh,
okay. I mean, I like the idea. So I'm going to call it the Modern Lady Show until it has a better name, but it is
okay.
Fleabag. I love that. I love that people love that show. It's fun.
Awesome. Now I know that this question is well, I need to start watching Fleabag. Apparently, and
Yeah.
it's kind of okay. So it definitely keeps coming up, and I see one of my friends that's a big fan of it that also has mentioned it before. So got to make it a priority.
Yeah.
Now, the idea of genre. Do you have any quick tips for people
Hmm.
that want to take on genre? Like, what is a priority? Like, okay, you just read a book that really spoke to you,
Yeah.
or you just saw a movie that resonated with you, and now you want to try to capture that in some way, package it in some way to try to turn it into an improv show. What are the things you look for?
That's a great question. I think the first thing that comes to my mind when I start thinking about genre and moving it into improv, I can't remember who this quote is from. It might have been just a mentor, it might be an actual quote, but the idea is if you can take what is unique about your medium, improv, let's get real specific, improv on Zoom to Twitch, right? If you can take what is unique about that medium and capitalize, I hate using the word capitalism, capitalize off of it, but use it to the best of all of its strengths, you're going to become an auteur in that style, in that medium, in that industry. So that's immediately what I think. And then what that takes me to is I go, say I've looked at a show, I go, okay, where does that overlap with improv? Where does that overlap with who I am? This is a big thing of improv theater. We even were talking about it at our last faculty meeting, is we talk about this Venn diagram that is improv. And one circle of the Venn diagram is the genre, right? Another circle is improv theater or improvisation or your group name here, right? And then the last of the Venn diagram is you. And you want to hit this little place where they all overlap, right? Where the genre fits with you, fits with your improv style. And if you can just zero into that, you're going to find it. Does that make sense?
It does.
Did it
Because
answer your question?
it was what you just did, what the look on my face that you saw was as you were describing that, I'm like, yes, that articulates the process that I've gone through in the past when trying to capture an interest of mine and trying to move it towards that. Yes, exactly.
And I think this is from Brian Lohman, who's a company member at Improv Theater. I think he came up with the idea of making improv into a Venn diagram. And then right, so the center bit is like, what themes resonate with you, the genre, and can you pull out an improv? What sort of techniques, like a direct address, right? What sort of, and then of course you can easily do the research and involve whatever the genre is. You can say it's in space. I'm doing one right now that is medical related. So I've got to almost become a doctor and learn a bunch of medical jargon, or at least how to make up fake medical jargon quickly, which I'm a little bit dreading. But you can find all these little things and either whether it's bringing you into the genre by researching or bringing improv into the genre by that's the get we get is genre related. Does that make sense? Yeah.
It does. No, and I love the way you describe it, because it, like, I feel like it validates the art form so much more. Like, when you hear about these actors who are going to do like scripted or film, right? They're about to go do a war movie, and they spend 3 months in boot camp, right? And so to hear you talk about putting the work in as an improv artist to familiarize yourself with the genre, so that when you have to make it up on the spot, you could sell it.
It's easy, right? That's one of the things that if you come to our school, it's almost like a grad school for improv, because you're having to read a lot. And not only do you read Tennessee Williams, but you read Chekhov, because Chekhov inspired Williams. And then you learn about the time period. And then you read, all the way down to, I like to say this and I never know if it translates properly, but I like to say that, like, for the ladies, we're learning that, like, in Jane Austen, you cross your legs this way. In Tennessee Williams, cross your legs this way. In Play Unscripted, you can let it all hang out. But you have to learn all the things.
Thank you for saying all of this, because it's like, as you're, again, this conversation is just making me in the moment reflect on the genre shows I've done in the past, and the ones that have really worked for me are the ones that hit that center of the Venn diagram, and the ones that haven't worked for me are the ones that just sort of felt like, I don't want to say parodying, but like maybe just sort of like aping a genre. It's like we're pretending that we're doing the genre, but we're not really fully understanding. Yeah, we're not doing it. We're not honoring it. We're just sort of putting on costumes and speaking in funny voices.
Hey, right? which is kind of fun,
but it is fun. Yes, it is fun.
But I get you. Yeah. It's funny too, because improv, this is again an improv philosophy, a Madi philosophy, my group Ripley, it's our philosophy too. And it's just all about commitment, almost to the point of overcommitment. And that will keep you out of parody land, right? Because you are the character. Your thoughts are the character thoughts. Everyone else is taking care of plot. I'm literally thinking the thoughts that I think my post-apocalyptic leading lady in this like this 16-year-old saving the world would be thinking, right? We
Mm-hmm.
do a show called Dystopia. And I think those thoughts, and of course, there's programs running in the back that's like, oh, position yourself here, look there, right? And oh, it would be good to make it worse here. So there's programs running, but the thoughts, the main stuff is the character and the acting and the emotion and just committed. And I think you want to get so well versed in the genre and so well versed in improvisation that you can just be the character. And
Yeah, wow, that's great. No, I totally yeah, I've used that idea before, but and I've talked about like the like the main hard drive is the
yes,
is can be
love
the
it.
character, right? And then you have
Uh-huh.
like and then like meanwhile the backup drive is, like for me it's like the character's up here driving
Uh-huh.
everything, but then the actor is back here is
Directing,
directing, yes, and aware of all the other stuff. Uh,
writing. Mhm.
exactly, yeah. Now,
Yeah.
tell me a little bit. Let's see. I'm just looking at the time. Okay, we're kind of nearing the end. We're about 5 to 10 minutes to wrap up. Tell me more about Ripley.
Ripley is a group of 7 women currently. We're expanding our group. So we're 7 women right now. And last year, I'll just give you the last thing we did last year. No, oh gosh, because it's just like, you know, time means nothing. In October 2018, and we finished this, we filmed 5 movies, 5 short films. We edited 3 of them together, and they were totally improvised. We got suggestions in pre-production, we got suggestions from donors, and we
Wow.
filmed and edited 3 movies, short films. They're about 40 minutes to 50 minutes long, and put them together as a potential series that we're pitching around. But these are all ladies who are badass improvisers. The Ripley sort of mission is to I'm gonna butcher it, but it's to because I haven't looked at it in a long time. But it's quick. It's embrace weird. We love weird. Cultivate play and something bravery, but it's all about bravery, play, and being weird. So
Yeah.
it's a group of women who love to play together, love to produce things together, are ready to take improv to the next level, especially here in LA. And we keep pushing the boundary of what's possible. And to be
Yeah.
honest, the Ripleys, we call ourselves the Ripleys. So the Ripleys, when any one of us is in a place of doubting, the other 5, 6 are so strong in the we can do this. We just keep pulling all of each other along. And I've been the one that's been like, we can do this. And I've also been the one like, I don't think you can improvise a movie, y'all. But then we do it.
That's
So
awesome.
it's pretty rad. They
That
are
is
lovely. Hmm.
that is great. Now we just a quick comments before we wrap up. Oh
Hmm.
yes. One of the actors in our group, the one that I talked about with all the wigs.
Yeah,
She says we are in dystopia right now. Yep.
there.
I I would say like dystopia is definitely one of my favorite genres. Before we all started living in dystopia, dystopia is
Right.
definitely one of my favorite genres.
Yeah.
Uh, we let's see. Oh, Joe Bill asks, does Maddie ever experience genre as music? He puts that in quotes. Does Maddie ever experience genre as
Oh,
music?
that's such like a Joe Bill question, isn't it? That's a great question. Yes, totally. I even give the I there are multiple levels to this question and multiple ways I can interpret it. And I know Joe Bill would be like, "Yes, in which way will you?" Um, but the what I'm thinking is I will often tell my students is you want to be a good piece of music. You want to be a symphony when you're improvising. You want to hit this note and then get to here and be on this note. I don't know if you be low, be high,
Yep.
emotions. You want to be a piece of music. And then
Hmm.
of course, each genre has its specific music that usually comes out of the genre, right? The
Hmm.
specific types of characters that come through music. So music is such an excellent way in, and because I'm a technical improviser and I've had to search libraries and libraries of free songs, I do feel like very connected to we have a library of Jane Austen songs specifically because that's the genre we get to do the most and it's a delight. And we have a library and I just can easily go right to this one and think of all like the 12 different scenes I've played out in that piece of music and the 12 different characters I've been in that piece of music. So definitely it relates and ties into genre, into character, and into an individual's performance And then you have these, if you have 7 people in your cast, you have these 7 pieces of music
Yeah.
weaving together throughout. I love
Oh,
music.
that's great. Great. And Joe Bill says that she knows me. Yep, he agreed. uh, I think one last question here. This is another one. This is David Charles asked a question earlier. Is there an aliens connection to the Ripley title?
Oh, girl, yes, there is. Yes. And we just did a show that I got to direct called Encounter. And it was basically based on Alien, Sigourney Weaver in Alien, based on Arrival, which is a
Oh, yes.
lovely film. And then we also read the short story. Ted Chiang, I believe is his name. The Story of Your Life is a story that Arrival was based on. Highly recommend it. I think you can just find it on the internet. And then we did Annihilation, the first book of Annihilation, which is also good. We didn't do the movie for reasons, but we did do the book Annihilation. We built a whole genre based on that. We're going to expand those resources too because we desperately need to. But we definitely were inspired by Ellen Ripley when we created the name Ripley. And if you look at our logo, usually I have some sort of Ripley paraphernalia around me. But if you look at our logo, it's very spacey related. So yes, good
Awesome.
question. The answer is yes. Well cited. Charles.
Oh, so great. Oh, Maddie, I guess one last question before
Okay.
before we
I
sign
could
off.
talk to you for hours. This is so
Ah,
fun.
no, this is great.
Nerdiness.
How's your jump shot?
Oh, I mean, it's stellar. My friend Michael Joplin might argue because we occasionally, well, before COVID, right, we played one-on-one. And I'll be honest, I schooled him twice and then he schooled me twice. So we still have like one match to go, but we never played, did we, Will?
No,
Okay.
I'm always too busy during the festival, but I just have to put it in the schedule next time. I'm like 1 hour, one-on-one, Maddie
up.
Schools Will.
This is the official challenge. However many
Yes.
people are watching have heard it.
Uh-huh.
I challenge
got-
Will to a one-on-one game.
We got about 25 people watching, and suddenly with that challenge, a bunch of hearts and likes and laughs are going up. So, because yeah, little known fact, you played college ball, right?
In college ball, I'm still 5'1", and I played college ball. And when I would go down into defense, I was looking at a lot of crotches, but hey, whatever. It was
Well, yeah,
fun.
I mean, I was always usually the shortest guy in the court, but I mean, the thing is that ball still needs to come down to the floor.
Oh,
When they dribble it, it still needs to come down, and that's where I'm at.
And the taller you are, the more room I have to just steal it.
Exactly.
I am right there with you. Were you a point guard, Will?
Usually point guard.
Okay.
Yeah, point guard, shooting guards. Yeah.
You got a favorite team?
I grew up in Chicago, so.
Oh, Bulls?
Bulls, yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, Bulls.
Yes.
And
That's
specifically, when the Last Dance came out, watching, I forgot how much Rodman meant to me.
Yeah,
Watching him play,
Mhm.
like the hustle that guy did. That really, I mean, yeah, playing, driving, and wagging your tongue out is one thing, but the hustle that Rodman had, that changed the way I played.
Yeah.
And that stayed with me. So.
Yeah, good questions.
Yeah, well, Maddie, this was a blast. It was so great to catch up. I will make sure to put all the links in for all the work that you're doing. It sounds very inspiring. It sounds so interesting, and the idea that of Improv Theater being like a grad school of improv, I absolutely agree. I've been wanting to do. Every time I see the announcements, I'm like, I've got to do this.
Yeah, because anybody can take our classes now. We're online, and yeah, it's opened up, man. It's opened up.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Awesome. Well, Maddie, thank you so much, and we will see you in the All-Star Show on Sunday.
Yes, on Sunday. Yes, I'm excited
Yes.
to come play.
Yes, cool. Excellent.
Great.
So thank you so much. Thank you everyone who's watching. Thank you, Maddie, for sharing your knowledge with us. And the Sarasota Improv Festival continues tomorrow with workshops starting at 10 a.m. Eastern with Craig Kukowski. We've got shows all the way through the night. And we've got a special show at 11 p.m., an extra late show. It's going to be a live sketch comedy show called The Power Hour with the guys. They're from all over LA, New York, Chicago, all playing in one live show that's going to be streaming on Twitch. So more information will go on the Facebook page for that. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Maddie, again. And
Yes, thank you.
Have a good night. Thank you.